Buongiorno, buonasera, benvenuti amici. Welcome, my friends. My name is Vincenzo, and welcome to my channel, Fountain Pen Therapy. I have another pen review for you, and it's a pen that's been sitting in my collection for quite a while, and I must say I've ignored it and for too long, I believe. And when it came time for me to start thinking about what kind of information and what kind of reviews I could share with my audience, there it was, just staring at me and in wonderment and wondering why I was not using it more often, which is something I plan to correct in the next couple of weeks, days and weeks, in fact. And that's the Taccia Spectrum. I think it's a beautiful pen. Now that I look at it, it's got some very nice features, Japanese made. So I suggest that we go to my overhead camera. I'll show you a closer look, give you my point of view, give you things that I like about it and things that I don't like about it, and so that you can make up your own mind should you wish to purchase it. Stay tuned. So here it is. Beautiful, beautiful pen, I must say. First thing I want you to notice is that although it would probably be categorized as a demonstrator, I would think, just because of the translucence or transparency of the resin, you can actually see the filling system underneath. And even the nib to some extent. I can even see some spots of ink there. See if you can see it there. So that's the first thing that I think is important to take a look at. Second thing, nice thick clip. I think it's more than functional, a little bit rigid, but springy. It does its job. Very smooth form, if you will. Not too many frills, not too many trimmings, just all resin. Now, what I like about this resin is that it's thick, and I would say it's got some weight to it, which shows, in fact, the quality. So you could see that the only inscriptions we see on this entire pen is really the brand name, which is Taccia. Now, this pen is more than affordable. Taccia makes some very lovely, lovely, expensive pens that I just beyond my means. But in fact, this is probably one. There may be 2 or 3 models that are more reasonable in terms of price, but I found that this one was very reasonably priced for the quality you're getting. So that's the outside trimming. Really very nice. Some heft to it. Or some weight to it, which is nice for a smallish pen. I would say this is a medium-sized pen. We'll look at the size comparison in just a few minutes. Let's take a look at inside. First of all, 1, 2, I would say 2.5. 2.5. Here's the inside. So you could see there is a metal section to it here. So as opposed to it not all being resin, if you will, when you open it up, I think there's more metal underneath. Let me just put aside the cap. So this is something. So this is a pen that I would not recommend eyedropping for obvious reasons, given the metal portion. I found that this converter was unique in that it was wide open. I can't open it now because the ink will spill over, but it doesn't have a small funneling section to it. It's just all the same size, and it attaches nicely, which makes it very, very easy to clean. And it's a Taccia. It has a Taccia inscription. And in fact, it's a sailor. Okay, it's a sailor converter. I just realized that. So, quality converter. Inked it up real quick. It picked up all the ink immediately. Speaking of sailor, that brings me to the nib. It's a sailor manufactured nib that Taccia orders from Sailor. It's not, I don't believe it's a gold nib, it's a steel nib, but it's just a wonderful, wonderful nib. In terms of size, They call this a stub. I think it's more of a boldish, double bold than a stub, but we'll take a look at it in the writing sample. So that's the interior part of the pen. Again, I find it very, very, very solid, well constructed, smooth. This is the interior. As you can see, the resin is quite thick, so that gives it some, that nice weight to it, and it just evokes quality in my view. So that's the inside and the outside. There you have it. Beautiful red. And I believe it comes in green and comes in blue. I chose the red. Okay, in terms of size comparison, I have here a few pens. Let me just back up a little bit with my camera so you can get the full shot. If I put the Taccia in there, well, first of all, the Taccia compares to my Mont Blanc 149, which is a large pen, through my Kilk epigram, my Positano Leonardo Officina Momento Zero. It's almost virtually the same size. This is my Sailor, the slim, smaller version of the 1911. It's practically the same size, not the same girth, but the same size as my Kilk epigram, and of course much smaller than my Momento Zero Grande Stardust version 2, which is a larger sized pen. So that gives you an idea of the size. I would say it's medium sized. It's on the thinnish side, but again, when I lift it and compare it to my Sailor, much heavier pen, and comparable to my Momento Zero Positano. So there you have a size comparison. Now, if we can go to the writing sample, first of all, the journal I'll be using is this 7 C's Crossfield. This is the Japanese version, okay, if you will. Purchased this on a pen site on a paper site, a Nanami paper that I will leave in the description. As far as the ink for today, I chose this Leonardo Officina Italiana Red Passion ink, which is a nice, deep and solid and bold red, as is the pen. So that's the ink. So let's open up my Crossfield. As you can see, the Crossfield, let me just here, get closer for you here. It is a grid, but it's a larger size grid. Does it give me it's a 7mm grid, as opposed to, I believe the rest usually come in 5mm. Okay, so let's get to the writing sample. So this is my Taccia Spectrum. And this is with the red resin. As far as the nib is concerned, this is a Sailor stub, although I would compare it to a double broad. Okay, Sailor is stub, and it's steel. Is it an ebonite feed? I don't believe so. I believe that that's a plastic feed. Okay, so plastic feed. Now, in terms of the nib, extremely, extremely wet, constant, smooth as butter. Look at that. Nothing to say about it. In terms of the stub, it does give me a little line variation, but I would, being used to writing with stubs, I would give this a double bold more of a double bold character than a stub, but nonetheless smooth, I think. Sorry for the shaking there. I can't get a straight line in, but it gives you a very good idea in terms of the consistency. It just, and very wet. Okay, so very, very nice, very, very nice. It's smooth, constant, and wet. By the way, the pen thus does post, as you can see. In fact, I would say it's a little more comfortable when you post it. A little bit, that clip is a little heavy, a little bit weighted, but comfortably weighted. In terms of the rating, now let's look at the design. Well, the design, I wouldn't give it too much points for the design. I would give it a 9 because it is a very simple design. Okay, there's nothing extravagant about it, so I'm not sure that I would give it any major points for the design. In terms of the build, however, I would give it a 9.9. Very well, very good quality. I mean, you know, you don't see any borderings, any cracks in the resin, you know, for the molding. It's just smooth. It's just perfection. It's, you know, Japanese perfection, if you will. So that's the build. In terms of the nib, well, the nib is exquisite. I would give it a 10 on 10. Like most sailor nibs, they're probably the one thing that I would say is key about, I mean, you cannot beat a sailor nib. Let's face it. I mean, these things are just perfect. Okay, now, and they come in all kinds of shapes, and I know, but they're a little expensive, especially the 22 karat gold. A little on the smaller side, I would say, but you know what? Sailor nibs is probably what makes sailor pens, in my view. So I would say very, very, very nice. So let's back to the rating. So the nib is 10 on 10. In terms of the value, at the time, I believe, because I've had this for quite a while, I would say it's approximately $200. I'll try to look it up and be more specific, but in my description. But I believe, or I give you a site so you can check it yourselves. But I believe that it was around $200 Canadian. So for the value, I would give it a 8.8 on 10. Okay. $200 a little bit on the expensive side, but on the other hand, you are getting quality. And for those of you who like sailor nibs and don't want to spend $300, well, this is definitely something to consider in terms of whether or not this is a go-to pen for me. Absolutely, I would give this 10 on 10. So there you have it. That's my review. I hope you enjoyed it, and take a look at the descriptions. Please look at the I notice I'm missing the G here. Take a look at the description and the sites that I cite, or the links that I give you. Look it up yourself, and should you want to take the jump, I think this is a nice pen to add to your collection. So once again, thank you for joining me, and I hope that this was useful. And please subscribe. It helps me and encourages me to keep going here, although I'm enjoying it, I must tell you. And stay tuned for my next video. Thank you very much.